Recording?
Yep, sweet.
Alrighty.
Extensor tone, we're talking about extensor tone.
Hang on, Lucy's here now.
For fuck's sake, Lucy.
All extensor tone really is the body's overextended. So typical Jander's lower cross, some people call it. But there's a big rib flare and an excessive anterior tilt. There's nothing wrong with an anterior tilt. There's just something wrong with if you are unable to get yourself out of that anterior tilt and pull yourself back into a more neutral spine position, particularly when you start loading with heavy barbells, squats, deadlifts, even some accessory work. The inability to get back into that neutral position will probably cause a pretty consistent series of issues, whether that be hip impingement, lower back pain, working downstream, an inability to internally rotate the hip, which can also bring about further impingement type stuff, but also dumping of the knees, caving in, and also flattening of the feet. That all drives into the same idea that this is overactive. So what we kind of start to see is if you put this on a continuum of neutral in the middle, I'm not sure if you can see that, neutral in the middle, extended here, and flexed over here. So that's just all positions. So neutral would be this, extended would be like this, and then a flexed would obviously be like this. The idea for most training and injury prevention in training is the ability to access everything on this realm. So you'll be able to get to an extended position, but then you could also get yourself out of that extension by flexing yourself back from here to here, and then back again. So the ability to access all ranges of motion and be stable and safe within all these ranges of motion. Unfortunately, with powerlifting, every single movement and every single accessory movement drives this position. When we think about squatting, nice big chest, people often talk about, big breath in, load yourself, squat down and up, fighting against that bar, pulling you forward, extension. Think about a bench press, more so than ever. You're driving a nice big arch, you're holding it tight, you're trying to pick the chest up as the bar comes down towards you, more extension. And then also obviously in the deadlift, you're picking yourself up, fighting however many hundreds and thousands of kilos to put yourself into that extended position yet again. So what tends to happen is people get stuck in a range sort of like this, where yeah, they can access extension movement, but they cannot get themselves safely into a flex position. So this is where we've found a drill from the Postural Restoration Institute, the PRI courses, that helps us a lot to help people gain access back into this flex state. And then that also helps find better positions in the lifting and also helps prevent injuries, overuse injuries due to this extended posture.
So what you're saying is that by training powerlifting, you end up creating bad habits, or you end up creating bad posture because of that?
Not so much, it's just the total volume of the extension that you're driving with your training doesn't allow you to access everything. And then because you can't access everything, it's going to severely limit you. Mostly seen in a squat, you get a lot of beginners starting to squat. They're in this position and they can't get themselves out of it as they drop down. Most commonly seen is the butt wink, where they roll back underneath into a flex position and then back out straight into the extended. If they were just able to access a more neutral position from the start, they will find that they'll probably squat deeper, more safely and pain-free very quickly.
So what's the major consequence, I guess, if someone isn't able to access that flexion range of motion? Performance, or is it injury prevention?
It's probably going to be both performance and injury prevention. So not everyone is going to present with pain or pathologically with whatever we're talking about here. However, we're sort of cutting it from the root of the issue, where if you can't get into a flex position because you're so hyperactively driven into extension, that is going to hopefully, if we can improve that position from the start before you start to prevent with pain, whether that be in the lower back, the hips, the knees, the ankles, whatever you do, especially on the squat, If we're able to get you into a more flex position and find and be able to get there safely and with stability, then we'll be able to train that position better as opposed to always training this extended position where a squat, where we're jacking up the lower back and particularly the anterior hip as well.
Okay, so if someone comes to you presenting this position, what do you do to kind of alleviate that and help them from the get-go?
So we help a lot of people with one specific drill from the PRI Institute. We call it the 90-90 hip lift. It's a breathing drill that we do at the start of every single session here. We also do it at the end of sessions. It helps to almost reset the body into a better position. Because we do it at the start of the session, motor control and skill acquisition is quite high. So people can pick up the ideas of the drill and gain access to the movements and how to control and be stable in the position that we want to hopefully then lift in afterwards and load the spine in a more neutral position. Yeah.
Cool, so you want to show me?
Definitely, let's go. So it's pretty easy. We only need literally just one thing, about I don't know, what's that, 15 centimeter diameter. That was going to be squeezed in between your feet. I'll show you the position to start with and then I'll explain what we're actually trying to do in the position. So this is the position. All we're looking for is 90-90 degrees here. So we're making a box between our legs and then you're just going to squeeze this in between your knees a little bit and then just try and relax. So there's a few things that we're working on in this position. So the great thing about lying on the ground, I'll just get your feet to come a little bit, no, so stay there, come back towards the box, good. So this here. The good thing about lying on the ground is it gives our body a lot of proprioception with what's going on with the spine underneath your body. Because we're obviously feeling the floor. Yep. All right, so that makes sense? Yeah, cool. So this will allow us to feel when we start to pull yourself back into that more neutral position. Alrighty? So in this position, I want you to think about three things. Number one is squeezing this roller with about 20% of as much squeeze as you can give. All right, so you're not crushing the hell out of it. It's just a little bit of a squeeze. That's perfect there. Second thing, I want you to pull your heels down into the box so that your hamstrings turn on. All right, so you're squeezing this, number one. Number two is you're pulling down, straight down into the box. Hamstrings come on. Number three, if I had a piece of paper, I want to be able to slide that piece of paper underneath your tailbone and it will get underneath your tailbone, but then your lower back would stop it. So all you're doing is rolling your pelvis and your tailbone off the floor a little bit.
So the paper is approaching me from the box?
Yeah, so the paper will come underneath, slide, good. Just a little bit more. That's it right there, all right? So if you think about what we've just done, relax everything. What we've done is we've squeezed the roller. Number two is we've pulled down onto the box to get your hamstrings to pull your pelvis back underneath you. So we're starting to reverse that excessive anterior tilt that you've got as a powerlifter. Yep. All right, so let's go, all three. You're gonna squeeze this a little bit, just a little bit of a tilt, a little bit less. Lower back down, there we go, nice. And then in this position, I'm just gonna get you to do 5 breaths. In through your nose and out through your mouth. 5 long breaths, all right, let's go. There's number one, good. Good. Keep the heels on the box, hamstrings stay on, squeezing this. Good. Exhale. Nice. On this next breath, I want you to think about filling up every direction. So your stomach is opening up, but also your chest is moving. Everything's opening. That air is filling everything. Good. Nice. You're gonna do 2 more breaths for me. So the good thing with breathing is it's starting to address the nervous system's control of the body, all right? So we're starting to calm the body down so that we can access this position a little better. And we'll all the way out, get it out, get it out, get it out, and break. We're gonna have about 20 seconds off, relax everything. Cool. We're gonna go back in that position, but this time I'm gonna give you some goals for the breathing, all right? So right now, can you feel how you're filling up a lot in your belly? Not a wrong thing to do, but I want you to think about, obviously the air is coming into the chest as well. That's where it goes into the lungs. Expanding everywhere. So the chest will rise, the belly will rise, you'll come out and fill out to the sides, but you'll also push down into the floor. So you're filling like a container would fill up if you poured water in it, everywhere, all right? So that's the first thing I want you to focus on your inhale. On your exhale, I want you to get every last drop of air out and pull your ribs down with your abs.
Like class squeeze.
Yeah, exactly. So I want you to understand that when you breathe out, your abs are pulling your ribs down. Okay. So that's the 2 things. You're filling up, opening, and then when you breathe out, the ribs are coming down, from these guys, all right? So we're starting to get a bit more core engagement here as well. So heels on the box, hamstrings down, good. And a squeeze here, let's go. In through your nose. Better, good, much better. Exhale, ribs come down, abs control your ribs. Hold, 2, 1, in. In, good. Full exhale, let's go. Good, can you feel your abs turn on? Nice. And again, in. Full exhale. All the way out, keep going, you got more. Get it out, get it out, get it out, get it out. And hold. 2, 1, and in. Chest, 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 good. And go, exhale, get it out. And last one. Chest, 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 chest. And full exhale. Get it out, get it out, get it out. Keep going. Abs turning on. 3, 2, 1. And break. Cool. How'd that feel?
Tough.
Tough.
Yeah, I felt like I couldn't breathe in as much as I wanted to. I felt like I could breathe in more, but I couldn't.
Yeah, because you're no longer in the position that you're used to. You're no longer in that extended position. Now we've flexed your whole system a little bit, so it's harder for you to breathe. All right?
So if I became more competent at this, if I got better at this, what would that kind of lead towards?
So we can access that more neutral spine position before we load. And under load, so under barbells and all that sort of thing. So if we can find that position and learn to maintain it, which is what we're hopefully getting here, we're getting the motor control to be able to hold this position, that once you go under load in there, in the actual weight room, you can maintain and hold it better and transfer force from the floor into the barbell a whole lot better.
Yeah,
Make sense? Yeah.
And if you're someone who's not sure if this would be appropriate, like how would you know that? You know, say someone's watching this at home, how would they know that this is an appropriate drill for them to take on?
I feel like this is appropriate for everyone because as a human population in general now, we are very extended, it's particularly from the lower, like the lumbar spine down into the hips, the excessive anterior tilt, which again is not an issue, but if you struggle to get yourself out of that position, that is going to become an issue. But I think it's beneficial for everyone, but anyone that does a lot of training, particularly a lot of squatting, this will help a hell of a lot. It will help get deeper into the squat, pain-free, and hopefully less stretching, mind-numbing of like the mind-numbing banded distraction of the hip and all that sort of stuff. If you can just pull your pelvis back into a better position, you'll find that depth and hip flexion becomes a whole lot more achievable like that.
Cool.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, that was easy.
Nice.
Nice. Thank you.
Happy lifting, man.
Excellent. Big thanks to Jamie of Melbourne Strength Culture for giving us some really good information on Extensor Tone. Jamie, you'll give yourself a plug. Where can we find you on social media, Facebook?
So the gym itself, Melbourne Strength Culture, is pretty much, that's it there. Just Google it, not Google it, Instagram it and Facebook it. We also have a YouTube account that's opening up in the next week when I buy a new MacBook Pro. Yeah. In terms of myself, you can follow me at Instagram on smithperformance_Jamie, and that's probably the only real places to follow us. But if you're interested in coming down for a session here, we're located in Moorabbin. You can find all that information on our website, melbournestrengthculture.com.
And I'll put all that information in the description below.
Perfect.
Thanks, man.
Thank you very much. Happy lifting. Actually, before I even say that, so if you think about how a rib cage is set up in terms of, so this will be your spine, this will be your rib cage. If you think about a rib cage, like anatomically, you've got a heart on the left side, and then you have your big liver on the right side. And then through here is sort of this diaphragm that sits under here. So anatomically, we are asymmetrical. We do not have a symmetrical torso, all right? So this then drives us into a pattern where the right diaphragm, because of the liver's position, creates this dome, a better dome for that diaphragm, as opposed to the left diaphragm, which is a little flatter, because it has the heart pushing down on it. So this right diaphragm, because it's domed, can then draw air in a hell of a lot better. So this drawing of air in on the right side opens up the left side to take air in, because this has pulled the rib cage down with it. Does that sort of make sense? So the right side pulls the rib cage down, the left side begins to open up. So what you'll sort of see is you'll see a left rib flare. I definitely have it. I've got more of a rib flare on this left side than my right side. A lot of people do. You see a lot of swimmers after they race and they're breathing really hard. This left side is pumping, but this right side is stuck down, purely because this right diaphragm has a better dome to pull. So as it pulls, it contracts all of this abdomen wall and it pins the rib cage down. So we could find positions with certain people where breathing becomes extremely difficult to fight against this. You said it yourself there when you were breathing, just because we brought you into a position where your abs and your diaphragm had to do more work to breathe as opposed to your extensor tone at the back. So instead of breathing like this, where you're comfortable, short, shallow breaths, we got you to breathe circumferentially with a full exhale where the ab tone now overrides this extensor tone on the back side of the body. That's why you found it difficult to breathe in that position. We could probably take it a step further. If we open up your right side, so if we put your right arm overhead and try and open up this rib cage, so open up the rib cage by doing this and then breathe, I feel like you would have found it even more difficult because again, you're fighting this position that 100% of, actually I won't say 100% because there's people that have the condition where their organs are reversed, but 99.99% of people are, because we are there anatomically from organ placement.